Did you know that onions, such a common food in our kitchen, can turn into a poison if not consumed in the right way? If you love onions and want to know what not to do with them, stay with me until the end, because you will be surprised. The way you store the onion at home can make all the difference in how long it will last, and if it will be good to eat. If you leave the onion in a warm or humid place, it may start to rot faster or even sprout. Not only will this cause it to lose important nutrients, but it can also cause health problems if you eat an already spoiled onion. For those over 60 years old, as is the case with the elderly, immunity tends to be lower, which makes it easier to have food poisoning with spoiled food. To avoid this, store the onion in a cool, dry place, preferably in a place with good ventilation. The ideal is to leave the onion in a basket or a box that allows air to circulate. Never store onions in the refrigerator, as the low temperature can make them wilted and tasteless. When you use the onion, make sure it is firm and free of dark spots. These stains can be signs that it is no longer good for consumption. Now, imagine that a simple mistake in the way you store the onion can cause it to lose all its benefits and even become harmful to your health. And that's not all. You may be making this mistake without even realizing it. Want to know what it is? Keep watching. Raw onions are very nutritious and full of antioxidants, but they can also be a bit difficult to digest, especially in large amounts. Raw onions contain a substance called fructan, which can cause gas, bloating, and abdominal discomfort in some people. For the elderly who may already have slower or more sensitive digestion, eating too much raw onion can cause stomach pain, a feeling of bloating, or even nausea. Although raw onions have many benefits, the ideal is to consume them in moderation. If you love raw onions, try putting them in small salads or sandwiches. Another alternative is to cook the onion before eating, as this facilitates digestion. Cooking the onion also helps to release more nutrients, making the food healthier and gentler on the digestive system. Many people love fried onions, but this form of preparation has its risks, especially for those who already have health problems, such as high blood pressure or heart disease. When onions are fried in hot oil, they can release substances called acrylamides, which studies have shown are associated with increased risk for cancer and other serious diseases. In addition, the excess fat and salt present in fried onions can further harm cardiovascular health. For seniors who need to take care of their heart health and blood pressure, it's best to avoid fried foods frequently. Fried food can raise cholesterol levels and increase the risk of heart disease. Instead of frying, you can try grilling, roasting, or even sautéing the low-fat onion. These forms of preparation are much healthier and preserve the flavor of the onion without the harms of frying. During onion cultivation, many growers use pesticides to protect the plants from pests. These chemicals can sit on the surface of the onion, and if you don't wash it thoroughly before consuming, they can end up inside your body. For the elderly, who have weaker immune systems, ingesting pesticide residues can cause health problems such as food poisoning or allergic reactions. To avoid these risks, it is very important to wash the onions thoroughly before using them, even if you are going to remove the skin. The best way to do this is to rinse the onions under running water and gently rub the skin to remove any residue. If you can, choose organic onions, as they are grown without the use of pesticides and are safer to eat. Onions have compounds that, in large amounts, can interfere with some medications. In particular, onions can affect blood clotting, which is a concern for those taking anticoagulant drugs such as warfarin, which is used to prevent clots. When onions are consumed in excess, they can alter the way the drug works, increasing the risk of bleeding. If you or a family member is taking anticoagulant medications, it is essential to talk to your doctor about the amount of onion that can be safely consumed. In many cases, the amount of onion that can be consumed is small and poses no risk, but it is always good to be aware to avoid problems. Just like any other food, onions have a shelf life. If you leave the onion stored for too long or in improper conditions, it can start to deteriorate and release substances that can be toxic to the body. An old onion can contain solanine, a substance that, if ingested in large quantities, can cause symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, and even more serious problems. The best way to avoid this risk is to consume the onions fresh. Always check the appearance and firmness of the onion before buying or using it in your recipes. If the onion has dark spots, sprouts, or a wilted texture, it's best to discard it. Buying onions in smaller quantities also helps prevent them from getting too old. When you cut an onion, it begins to release substances that can be attractive to bacteria. If you leave pieces of cut onion out of the fridge for too long, these bacteria can multiply and cause problems such as food poisoning. This is even more dangerous for the elderly, as the weaker immune system may not fight the bacteria as effectively. If you cut an onion and aren't going to use it all at once, it's essential to store it properly. Place the cut onion in a tightly sealed container and store in the refrigerator. Avoid leaving cut food out of the refrigerator for more than 2 hours, especially on hot days, so as not to risk contamination. Although it is more common in children, food allergies can also appear in adulthood and even in old age. Some people develop allergic reactions to onions, which can cause symptoms such as itching, swelling of the lips or throat, difficulty breathing, and even diarrhea. For the elderly who may have a more sensitive immune system, an allergic reaction can be more difficult to control. If you've never had a problem with onions but started experiencing strange symptoms after eating, such as itching or difficulty swallowing, it's important to see a doctor. The professional can help diagnose the allergy and recommend alternatives to avoid this food, if necessary. If you have children or grandchildren who are expecting a baby, it is good to know that onions, when consumed in large quantities during pregnancy, can cause stomach discomforts such as heartburn and reflux. This is because onions are a more acidic food and can irritate the stomach, especially in pregnant women, who often have a more sensitive digestive system. If you have someone in the family who is pregnant, remember to let them know about the need to moderate their onion consumption. They can continue to eat onions, but in moderation, and pay attention to the signals that the body gives. In general, small amounts of onions, such as in dressings and salads, should not cause problems, but it is always good to exercise caution. Fermented onions, such as those used in pickles or preserves, can be delicious, but they can also be difficult to digest for some people. Fermentation turns the sugars in the onion into substances that can cause gas and stomach discomfort. This is especially important for seniors with digestive issues such as reflux or gastritis, who may experience pain or burning when consuming fermented onions. If you have these digestive issues, it's best to avoid fermented or pickled onions. Opt for fresh or cooked onions, which are gentler on the stomach. If you really like pickled onions, try to consume them in moderation and observe how your body reacts. Onions are a healthy food, but like any other food, it's important to consume them carefully and in moderation. This is especially important for the elderly, who may have a more sensitive immune system or are already facing health problems. Whenever you have doubts about the consumption of onions or any other food, do not hesitate to talk to a doctor or nutritionist to ensure that your diet is healthy and safe. What if I told you that many of us are putting our health at risk by consuming fried or poorly stored onions without knowing it? Don't let that happen to you. Want to continue learning how to enjoy the benefits of onions without harming your health? So subscribe to the channel now and don't miss the next videos we have prepared for you.